in the post game today and on a number of different outlets where you get us via video, you will find what I believe to be one of the newest and most popular college football shows sweeping the nation. Gen CFB with Jessica Smetana and Lucy Rodin is something, and Stu Gatz has been taking advantage of this on God Bless Football. It's something that's gaining in popularity around here and is an intense dose of IV in your veins college football if you feel like our show is not discussing college football enough because we're too busy talking to the animal expert.
Football is popular, Dan.
Yeah. It is. Yeah. And so in the post game, you can get Gen CFB.
You know what else is popular? LinkedIn. And this segment is presented by LinkedIn Jobs.
Not popular is Jeremy Taché talking about baseball. He's been sent out to the therapy couch.
In Major League Baseball that are in it this year.
I mean, that's what you want. There's so many teams that are in this year. It's completely useless.
Okay, it's not great. It's not great as analysis. But regardless, we've got a lot happening around here, and we cannot skip Ron Magill because he's the most popular segment that we have. So Ron Magill joins us now. We're always grateful for Ron Magill, and the audience has been great about servicing his substantive endowment with funds that are substantive throughout the land. What happened?
Phrasing.
Now we're going to object to the substantive endowment. He's made a lot of money.
Servicing.
He takes a lot of... Now we're going to object to we're doing it now with servicing. The substantive endowment hasn't stopped you before. It's the servicing that's the problem.
It was a weird word choice. Continue, Dan. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Thank you, Stu Gatz. I want to show Ron some video here of a mother cow showing gratitude to a human being for helping her deliver a calf. I want to know from Ron how many times he has seen something like this that is moving to him because you can tell that an animal is appreciative that a human being... I have some frustrations with my own dog when I'm trying to help him and he doesn't realize that I'm trying to help him. So when an animal shows what feels like human gratitude, am I being anthropomorphic and assigning human traits, or are there human traits here, Ron?
I'm sure there's some human traits there. The licking of the arm, we equate it with hugging and kissing. More often than not, the animal is licking the salt from the sweat of the arm and he's enjoying that salt. But it is still a form of endearment. When animals groom each other, that is something that helps promote and fortify social bonding. So it is a form of bonding. But the licking a lot of times is inspired by the salt that comes out in the perspiration.
Ron, I don't know if you've watched the docuseries Chimp Crazy.
He called her a whack job last week. He called her a total whack job last week. I thought you were making a face, Amin, on you're skeptical of the animals. You don't believe in the animals the way I do. You don't love animals the way I do.
I knew exactly where Ron was going to go with that because animals that lick are often looking for sodium, and that's what they're doing. And so I was waiting for, here comes Dan, thinking like the cow's like, thank you, kind sir, for helping me deliver my calf. Look, dude, they've been doing this for millions of years without us around. They don't feel gratitude about someone.
Oh, I'm
like
sorry.
A doula.
But listen. In all fairness, Dan, yes, I think he is showing some gratitude because, first of all, normally speaking, an animal would not accept the presence of someone else when it's giving birth. That is a very, instinctive time when they're protecting against anything. Obviously, that animal feels very comfortable and secure with that person to be able to do that shortly after giving birth because the normal instinct is to protect their young. So by accepting that, gentleman, it is in fact telling him, I trust you, and I'm showing that comfort in my trust for you.
I don't know, why you're lashing out at me, but I do believe it's because you feel like milk and all milk references are your exclusive domain, and that I'm just infringing on it because I'm talking about this cow being kind to a human being.
Ron, do you think milk has brands? Do you have a specific brand of milk that you enjoy?
I will say this. I have certain brands of milk that seem to last longer than others before they sour. I don't know why that is. I don't know if it's the container they're in or whatever. But no, once the milk is cold, I'm good for it.
What is the brand? Do you know? His point is that no one knows what their brand of milk is.
Borden.
I love that milk. That's
Is it possible you're just drinking the milk at a different pace that week?
No.
Okay.
No. There's dates on the carton that says,
top tier milk.
Let's see if this horse here that we're going to show Ron Magill, tell me whether this emotional woman is being comforted by this horse. You see a woman crying here, and the horse nearby appears to be hugging her. What is happening here, Ron?
I do believe animals sense that type of sorrow. They sense sickness. I think the overwhelming majority of your audience, your listeners who have a dog or a cat, know that if you come home and you're sick or you're in a really bad mood, that animal tends to instinctively come up to you. I don't know if you've ever sat on the couch and you're not feeling well, you're upset, and your dog comes and just places his head on your lap. I mean, these are things that animals, they sense. Understand, animals have to survive through instinct, not through necessarily speaking a verbal language to each other. So they are much more sensitive to these types of things than many times we as humans are. So I totally believe that horse is in a way comforting that woman. Yes.
Horse.
Ron,
Wow.
Ron, this is a terrible story all the way around that I imagine might find you conflicted. Zimbabwe and Namibia in southern Africa plan to slaughter hundreds of wild elephants and other animals to feed hunger-stricken residents amid a severe drought. Any way around that? Like, how does that make you feel?
It's a horrible feeling. But at the end of the day, Greg, and I know I'm going to make people just get their withers up with me when I say this, people cannot starve for animals. It's survival of the fittest. Now, gratuitous hunting, trophy hunting, stuff like that. But if you're eating an animal to live, how can you condemn that? I don't understand that. What we have to do is we have to help these countries. We have to help these people learn another way to sustain themselves. The trouble is we've got drought, we've got climate change that's creating all kinds of, snowball effects on different things that people are having struggles, and animals are going to suffer with that. But at the end of the day, there's no single animal life that's more important than a human life. And that's coming from someone who's dedicated my entire life to animals. But, I've said it over and over. If I'm in the middle of the Masai Mara and the very last rhino in the world is there pregnant with the future of the species, and my wife and my kids are starving, and the only way I know to feed them is to kill the rhino's going to die. And I don't expect anyone who's a parent, a spouse, or any family that's going to let a family member die from starvation so another animal can live. So we've got to come up with other options with that. It's a hard situation, and hopefully it's going to open some eyes. Hopefully a lot of the people say, "Oh, you can't." Okay, give me an option. How am I going to survive?
I feel like there are animals that are more valuable than humans, though. Like, I feel like if I'm given, like, a weapon and I have to either get rid of the Unabomber or Flipper, like, I'm keeping Flipper over the Unabomber.
Okay, Billy.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Listen, Billy.
I'm just saying this blanket statement of all, humans are better than animals. I don't know.
I think you know what I meant.
Mm.
Okay. I think you know what I meant. I mean, I'm a firm believer that there are many more good people than there are bad people. Mm-hmm. So I try to look at the cup as half full. And at the end of the day, there's certainly some bad apples out there, but it's far overshadowed by a lot of the goodness. We don't hear enough about the goodness. We like to sensationalize the bad and, get on these whack jobs that are doing all these crazy things out there. And yeah, a lot of those I'd shoot before I shoot the rhino in a heartbeat. I wouldn't eat them, though.
Also, Billy, I urge you to do your research on Flipper. A real sordid history there.
Oh.
Put it on the poll, please, at LeBatardShow. Are there more good people than bad people?
Who would you save, Amin?
Well, I want to ask, before I answer that question, it's an excellent question. I'm glad you asked it. I do want to ask Ron something specific from Chimp Crazy, that the kook, as you called her.
Whack job.
Whack job. Pardon me. The whack job.
You said it.
Was feeding the chimpanzees, like, Happy Meals and stuff like that. I would have thought that an animal like a chimpanzee would reject eating, that kind of stuff, but they seem to like it. I'm not saying it's good for them. I'm saying, isn't it weird that they develop
listen,
a palate?
You have to equate the mentality of these animals very much to a child. If you give a child candy and popcorn and all these things that basically stimulate taste buds, what are they going to do? They're going to eat it. Okay, they don't know any better. They're going to eat it. Just like any animal will eat things that are bad for it if it's loaded with sugar, loaded with different types of things that are basically created to stimulate hunger.
Right.
And that's what's happening there. This woman.
I guess my question is, like, how is that applicable across all species? Could you feed all animals food that they would not indigenously be attracted to?
Yes. Yes, there are certainly foods that you can feed animals that they would love to eat just because of how it appeals to their taste buds, though it's not necessarily healthy for them, and it's not necessarily something they would naturally find. Okay, if we lived out in the forest, we're not going to find lollipops out there. Okay, we're not going to find ding dongs and yodels and things like that. But if you give them to me out there, I'm going to eat it and I'm going to like it.
Yankees are both struggling this season. The Dodgers might run out of pitching no matter how high their payroll is. They might run out of pitching. Shohei Ohtani might end up pitching in the postseason. Nobody's talking about it. Nobody cares.
Have you guys ever heard the phrase "get their withers up"? Because that's something that Ron said earlier, and it's not a phrase I've ever heard. Juju, put it on the poll, please, at LeBatardShow. Have you ever heard anyone say "get their withers up"? Because I don't know what that means. You work with words for a living, Greg. Do you know what it means?
I don't. It sounds like something my grandpap might have said. It's just a very old phrase.
The withers are the top of the shoulder of a horse, and when a horse gets upset, he starts bucking and the withers go up, so it's knocking you off.
Wow.
Okay, I never heard that. I'm sorry for my ignorance.
Hey, Greg, did you get your haircut for your birthday coming up? Because you look like you're clean shaven back there.
Yeah, thank you.
You're looking good,
did.
Greg. Can't wait to see you on Saturday night, brother.
All right.
I forgot to mention this. Let's talk about this for a second.
Yeah,
Greg,
let's not.
what's going on with your guest list on Saturday? This has been a source of great controversy. Who got invited from here? Who missed the
Oh,
cut?
my God.
How much trouble do you have for your 70th birthday?
Sorry, Greg. I'm sorry. I should have brought it up.
Okay.
I just noticed the haircut. It looked good.
Yeah, thank you, Ron. Whoever was not invited, blame my wife. She was totally in charge of the guest list. Mm-hmm. Whoever was invited, we'll be happy to see you there.
Is there controversy? Has this been uncomfortable? Instead of pleasant and happy, has it been something that has been fraught with peril?
Well, it's been fraught with anxiety more than peril because it isn't just this show where some people were left out, some people were invited. It's in my everyday life. You know, I always say that in the Baseball Hall of Fame, there's a hair width difference between the last player to make it and the first player left out. And likewise, for a party invite, I regret not being able to invite everybody I know and like. But that's just the way it is.
You seem sad, though.
Do they make bacon like my wife does? That's
why I'm inviting. She better bring some bacon. You're not getting on that boat without bacon.
What's happening?
Rita's bacon. It's the best in the land.
How do you know?
I've been privy to it. It's the best bacon I've ever had, and I know my bacon.
I've never been to a party with a bacon cover charge.
Well, we're gonna have bacon or not.
Wow.
Well said.
You thought you had a great dismount there, and you didn't really have anything to say.
Or not.
Yeah, 2 questions that I get asked a lot. There's no dress code. Okay, it's a clothing optional yacht.
Baby!
Number 2,
Bring your own bacon.
it's rain. That's exactly right. Number 2, it's rain or shine, because I know the weather might not cooperate. Rain or shine, baby.
How's the booze situation?
It's top shelf. We're good.
Open?
Open.
Oh, yeah.
You think that Greg Cote's going to throw a 70th birthday party and you're going to have to give like $7 per drink?
A cash bar, yeah.
It's rain or shine for Greg. It's just shine for me. I mean, I got to be honest. If it's raining, no.
Are you showing up, Stu Goss?
We'll see. I'm getting to it.
DraftKings has you plus 150 to show up, and I might take the
Really?
the other.
Yeah.
That's the spread.
Let's.
I'd go the other way, Greg. I would.
I know. I'm telling you.
Wait, is Amin going? Amin, did you get the invite?
Oh, of course I got the invite.
Oh, thank goodness. It would have been awkward.
You think I'm talking about open bars about something that's hypothetical?
I want to play for Ron this video of what appears to be an elephant testing an electrical fence before trying to cross, and ask him some questions about how animals deal creatively with man-made barricades. What do you make of this, Ron? Obviously, you've told us before that the elephant is unbelievably smart. The idea that this elephant has been shocked by an electrical current before and is testing this electrical current. What are you laughing about, Amin?
I just imagine the last time the elephant tried to walk through a fence. Like, So now he's like, whoa, hold on.
Yes,
Wait a second.
he keeps testing it. Have you seen something like this before, Ron?
Oh, I have. I've seen it with elephants. I've seen it with horses. I've seen it with a lot of animals. But you can see this animal is incredibly intelligent by realizing if I can push on the wood, I don't need to touch the wire. And he did obviously test the wire and obviously walk over the wire, but that shows you how incredibly intelligent that animal is.
I want to play another video for you of two monitor lizards wrestling on a beach and ask you some questions about the greatest fights for domination that you have seen. People are always asking you who would win in a fight between this animal and that animal. These monitor lizards seem to be facing off in a fight that felt like the last UFC fight, where it's just
a little boring, Dan.
Usually they're in a hallway.
I didn't know that they were. Oh my God! Hold on a second. Let me
See ya.
No, I wasn't going to send him. No, it's
It's even worse.
hall monitors.
Not really showing a lot of conflict there, Dan. It seems that's the way I kind of hold my wife on the.
Yeah,
on the
I
beach.
didn't. I thought it might have been making love as opposed to fighting. What was
No, it's
that?
not.
It's Rocky and Apollo.
That's actually two males looking for dominance, and that's the way. They don't bite each other. They don't go after each other's claws. They literally try to wrestle each other as one goes on top of the other, try to get one down. It's a very non-violent type of struggle that just shows power as important as opposed to, fierce force. And a lot of animals do that. Rattlesnakes do that. You'll see rattlesnakes, they'll intertwine. Cobras do that. They'll intertwine and they wrestle up in the air, one trying to pull the other one down, and that's how they decide who wins, without biting, without inflicting any kind of long-term injury.
When you talk about, Aaron Judge, he's someone who has a great eye at the plate, but Bobby Witt's chase rate, it's way higher, yet he leads the league in hitting. He's
Demonstrating.
Ron, thank you for being on with us. We appreciate the time, sir. It is a great pleasure as always, and we will see you Saturday night at Greg
Look forward
Cote's
to it, guys. Take care.
party.
Bye.
Greg Cote, we were talking about the Olympics before, and you have been on this bronze medal kick since the Olympics. You and Stu Gatz, every time I walk in, you guys are talking about this bronze medal story in a way that you have not brought to air. So finally, let's bring to air the conversation that you and Stu Gatz have been having about the fight over a bronze medal that continues months after the Olympics.
Yeah, Jordan Chiles is the American gymnast who I think was sort of cheated out of a bronze medal. They could have solved the whole controversy by just giving out 2 bronze medals, but they didn't. And now Jordan Chiles is going to the Swiss Supreme Court to try to get her medal back. And no one in the history of athletics has fought harder to finish in 3rd place. It's just
Just let it go. I mean,
at some point, she's more famous for the injustice and for being the victim of losing her medal than she ever would have been by winning the bronze medal. So take what you got, Jordan. Move on. Don't worry about it.
there are things worth fighting for, Dan. A gold medal is one of them. Perhaps even a silver medal, 2nd place. But 3rd place, that is not worth fighting for. Someone just send her a bronze. Anybody. Just give both of them a bronze medal. Who cares?
Nobody cares. A bronze medal, it's worth 10 cents.
Oh, my God. What are you doing?
He was right about the pennies.
What are you
Thank you.
best in the world at?
Okay, I'm exaggerating. It's worth more than 10 cents. Don't get me wrong, but it's not worth, a great monetary value. It's the thought that counts, but the thought is you finish 3rd.
It's 3rd best in the world, Greg.
I know, but it's.
Let it go.
Okay, great talking to you guys.
Start of the day, start of the day. It is your start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is your start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is your start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is the start of the day.
Still confirming here, Dan, but I believe a bronze medal is worth $4.11.
That cannot be right.
That's right.
What do you mean that's right?
I was
That's right.
close when I
Thank
said
you.
10 cents.
They're not monetarily. They're not very valuable. It's
Right.
like it's a thought that counts, like Greg said.
None of the medals have is the gold medal actually worth more than the $4.11?
Have you seen the price for gold recently? That is not real gold.
Gold plated.
It's chocolate in the middle.
Hell,
I read
even
that a
better.
gold medal is actually like 2% gold. at most.
Right.
You know,
But is it worth more than the bronze medal?
it's
Yes.
gotta be.
Yeah.
Sure.
If the bronze medal is worth it, how close is Stugotz to being right on the bronze medal is actually worth $4.11? Who's closer to right? Stugotz at $4.11 or Greg at 10 cents?
I mean, what's the cost of bronze? I haven't seen bronze just laying about recently.
I mean, I'm telling you, it's worth $4.11 if what I'm looking at is accurate. Okay.
Bronzemedal.com?
Yes, and goldmedal.com has gold at $763.79. A gold medal. That's how much it costs.
I think bronze is actually valuable. Like when you're like redoing, like when you see like they demolish houses or whatever, like people go and collect the bronze and then they go and they take it. Oh, copper, whatever.
Those are totally different things. Those are different things.
Copper is worth, twice as much as we value it.
Yes, but your house isn't made
2.7 cents
of
per penny.
There's not Yes, it is true that when they demolish a house, people do go in and grab the copper. Also, drug addicts do this in order to get a little bit of money. But it is not bronze that they're getting; it's copper.
Bronze scrap prices. Bronze, $2.45 a pound.
Wow. How much does a gold medal weigh or a bronze medal?
I mean, I have to go back to bronzemedal.com now. All right, I'll be.
What did it say about copper there?
I'll get back to you. Hold on.
Copper?
Yeah.
Copper costs. Well, first of all, there's a lot more copper than bronze. That's why. Yes, that's why.
It should be a copper medal.
I've got a couple of NFL stats of the day for you guys.
Duracell, the copper top.
455 grams, but I don't know what that actually means.
Huh.
Excellent work, Tony. I appreciate the contribution there.
How many eggs does that weigh in terms of Babe Ruth bats?
NFL kickers are 35 of 37 from 50-plus yards this season. The only two misses are by Justin Tucker. The best kicker ever. Stugotz, do you have a stat of the day to rival that stat of the day?
I do. J.J. McCarthy has still thrown as many touchdowns as Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, and Bo Nix combined.
Nobody looks better among the rookie quarterbacks than Drake May.
Oh, I thought you were going to say than J.J. McCarthy. He looks great on the sideline.
No, he's injured. Drake May is the greatest of the rookie quarterbacks
The unknown.
because he's healthy and we don't know what he can do. I've got something for you that I want to ask the group and see how long it takes you to get the answer. The other day I was talking about what I believe to be the four best teams in football over the last 5-year period: Baltimore, Kansas City, San Francisco, and Buffalo. I think all of us can look at that and think about the last 5 years and say that those are the best teams. Some people might argue on behalf of Philadelphia. But when I say to you, name the team that has won more games, postseason and regular season, in football since 2020 than anybody. Go ahead and guess, because I think it's going to take you guys a minute to get this right. I don't believe. Go ahead.
I have a guess. Tampa Bay Bucks.
Holy.
You got it right?
He got it right.
Wow.
Well, the starting point was that they're one of only like 3 or 4 teams that have made the playoffs 4 seasons in a row. And prior to that, they had Tom Brady. So, pretty good wild guess.
I don't think that that's the way you play the game.
Right. Got to get it wrong. Let Dan surprise you.
Times,
A couple of times.
Yeah,
I would have said the 49ers.
Giants was going to be my guess. The Giants.
Giants.
You got to play the game correctly. I mean, you ruined the entirety of the game.
I apologize for being too smart. It's been a lifelong problem of mine.
Tough life, ain't it, Greg?
Yeah.
Trying to educate these clowns and then they get
Such
mad.
a burden. I want to play for you guys some sound from Nevin Shapiro here. Amin, do you know who Nevin Shapiro is? Because much of our audience probably does not know who that is.
Yes, he's an accident lawyer, right? I see him on the billboards all the time.
That is not who Nevin Shapiro is.
See, that's how you play the game, Greg.
Would Tony or Greg like to give Amin some information on who Nevin Shapiro is?
He's the University of Miami booster who was sent to prison largely because of his involvement with illegal payments to or something, I believe.
That's right. Like there was a Yahoo Sports thing about him, right? This is not to be confused with the other scandal that Dan brought about with his reporting. This is a different report with a different mole.
He ran a Ponzi scheme, is what he did.
That's why I went to prison, I think.
Yes, Nevin Shapiro is one of the most unpopular people in the history of the University of Miami program. He was a booster who was very front-facing, a very small person, human being, who then did go to prison for an assortment of crimes. He's, I don't know what this is from. Somebody sent this to me, and I have no idea where this was appearing, but Nevin Shapiro came after me very strongly.
What are your thoughts on LeBatard? He's made some comments as well.
Yeah, well, that's funny. Dan LeBatard turned in the University of Miami on Pell Grants in the mid-'90s, his university. I watched Dan LeBatard, and I'm going to tell you a few background stories on Dan LeBatard. But let me give you one statement real quick. That guy's getting big in his face. I'm assuming he hasn't seen his balls in 10 years by himself. That's just my opinion. That guy's face is getting so fat, I can't even look at his face.
You notice how they have all the old pictures of Dan. They don't have no recent pictures.
My face was fat. He was telling no lies there. But at this point there, his face is fatter than mine.
Also, Dan, he's been in prison for a very long time. He doesn't know what you look like anymore.
But you would think that you would lose weight in prison and your face would stop being fat.
I mean, the food's not great there.
Also, some people lose weight, some people gain weight in prison, Dan.
When is the last time you've seen your balls?
Fair question.
Thank you.
He noticed he didn't answer.
I have no idea what my balls look like. I did not have anything to do with that Pell Grant story. I am so tired of that.
I agree with him on that.
I am so tired of that. I object to that more than anything else that he said. Everything else he said was more accurate. I had nothing to do with the Pell Grant story.
Allegedly. At this point, though, do you wish you did? Because, like, it's going to stick to you anyways.
Yeah.
Why not just own it?
Yeah, it's yours, man.
Because I don't want to ever give up the losing fight for accuracy.
But Dan, when you're playing basketball, you get foul. You get called for a foul. You didn't foul. You might as well foul the guy. You're going to get called for it either way.
You guys did this to me.
I did, yeah.
Stugatz and Billy. What do you mean
How?
how? Because you guys have kept up this lie.
Nevin was listening to the show in prison? I don't think so.
It's your story. I mean,
Can you guys just put up the face of Nevin Shapiro, please? And I just don't think you should be throwing croissants when you live in a fat house with me. I just don't think it's something you should be doing. His face is not skinny.
In fairness, I think he said it's my opinion that Dan hasn't seen his
You know
balls
what?
in 10 years.
You know what?
Right,
Fair
yes,
point,
yes.
Nevin. Fair point.
he's entitled to it.
This episode of the Dan LeBatard Show with Stugatz is presented by Smirnoff. We do game days. Please drink responsibly. The Smirnoff Company, New York, New York.
A reminder that the Gen CFB segment is getting very popular, and if you want your college football, if we haven't talked about it enough, and we have not here, in the postgame, you will have plenty of Jessica and Lucy breaking down all of your college football needs. We have to get to more important matters like Amin finally putting together this 100 GREG COTES Were Surveyed game. I was hoping to do that game with Stugatz physically on Tony's shoulders, but Tony's back hurts and he says he can't do that today.
Not today. Maybe another day.
Okay, another day we will do that. Something we have not talked about, though, yet today, and we should have. We have erred in not doing so, is that Tua Tagovailoa is now on injured reserve, which means he's out at least 4 games. And if it's not a season ruiner, it's certainly a season crippler. And it is something that is, on top of everything else, the season gets put to the back burner because the reports are that he has no intention of retiring, according to Ian Rappaport, and he's been seeing neurologists. And Tedy Bruschi has given voice to what is some of the mental anguish that a player has to go through when he identifies, this is his identity. It's what he has wanted all his life, and now he's surrounded by loved ones who are concerned about his, not just his mental health, his actual health.
You see as many doctors as you possibly can, okay? He's being supported within the organization, I understand that, but what doctors will give you is gray, okay? And they will not give you black and white. I have personal experience from this, and Alex, I'm sure you do too, because it's like, listen, I had a device put in my heart. It's like, okay, when I get blindsided, will the device move at all? It shouldn't. chances are slim. But they tell you, they give you all this information, and here's it all. But what they eventually say is it's something you have to live with. You have to live with the decision that you decide to come back after whichever injury that you have. In my case, it was a stroke. Can you live with it? Can your wife and family live with it? Which is a whole different dynamic where you can go through a whole nother show about what it went to try to convince my wife to let me play football again. So should he retire or should he play? I did both. The other thing you think about is this: I can't go out like that. Yeah. I just can't go out like that. I can't finish like that, because to all of us, how we finish our careers is so important, especially when you get into 7th, 8th, 9th years and you've been in the league and you know what it's like and you've seen all these great players and all their careers ending. You have your own ending up here in your mind. Tua still wants to win and he still wants to have a career, and I would support him if he wanted to come back.
God, he's got great hair.
He does have great hair. Greg, I hadn't considered what he was saying there, though. The stubborn, I'm going to say masculine football player pride of my last thing on a football field isn't going to be looking like that,
Right.
like an infant whose hands are spasming.
Yeah, I thought, I give him credit. I thought that was a more realistic, more heartfelt analysis of Tua's situation than somebody just sitting from afar going, he needs to retire. I never want to see him play football again. All the self-appointed guardians of his life and his career. It's his, not yours. Look, I hope he comes back because he wants to. I hope he's never injured again, but the risk is huge. And it was discouraging news that they placed him on IR, because that means there's no chance we're going to get him in the next few games. He's going to be out longer. And so that's sobering.
This puts him out at least a month, and the bye. The bye is October 13th, the week of October 13th. But beyond that, let's get into what it is that you're talking about, Greg, when you say it's his life, not yours. There are a whole lot of people telling him what to do right now with his life. We had, if not forgotten for a year, we really put someplace else the idea that we were again going to see him that kind of prone. If he comes back and we see it a third time, Greg, if this happens a third time, then what? Like when you say it's his life, not yours, it's going to keep getting louder if we're faced with the discomfort again and again of, wait a minute, that happened against Damar Hamlin. Damar Hamlin, when he died on the field, that hit didn't look like much. Now this hit doesn't look like much. If I present an American audience a third one of these that looks like this, it's just going to keep getting louder.
That's absolutely true. And it's been 3 already. It would be a fourth, the next one. And at some point, the NFL has the apparatus in its protocol to say you can no longer play football. The NFL can make that decision.
But why are you okay with the NFL doing it and not everyone who's just giving their opinion now, like Antonio Pierce saying that he should get out? Why is that apparatus okay and Antonio Pierce's opinion on this is not?
Because Antonio Pierce has not seen the brain scans like the NFL doctors have, like his personal doctors have. I've said all along that the decision needs to be made by the following group: Tua's family, and Tua's trusted doctors and neuroscientists. Those are the only people entitled to have a legitimate opinion.
What if they don't agree, though? Because Bruschi's telling you that there's a lot of gray in here. What if those people don't agree?
I thought that was one of the most interesting things that Tedy said. He had to convince his wife to play again. And Tua's family, because he spoke to me and Dan, they were having those discussions the last time he got a concussion.
Yeah, for sure.
And so I would think it's going to be hard for Tua to convince family members that he's going to be okay and, hey, I'm going to go play again. I would think that's a tough conversation.
Yeah, and part of the reason that there's all the retirement talk now is that 2 years ago, Tua himself acknowledged that there was a consideration to retire. And at that time, the consensus of his family and his doctors was that he could still play and would still play. And apparently that's the case now. But there will come a time, to Dan's point, if there's another one, it's probably the end for him. I think he's counting on, nourished by last season when he played an entire year injury-free. I think he's counting on that again. I think he's giving himself one last chance to prove he can stay healthy.
My fear is the next one could be the last one, Greg. I mean, it's a fear we should all have. No, a concern we should all have for him.
Greg, it's very reminiscent, different type of injury, but very reminiscent of what happened with Chris Bosh, where he got diagnosed, and then he set out on this path where he was searching for any doctor who would clear him and say, yeah, it's okay for you to play. And at that point, the Miami Heat, and really every organization in the NBA, had to say, look, I get that you want to do it on your own terms and everything like that. Like, I don't want that liability on my back, because we're not talking about a guy with a broken ankle here or a bad wrist. We're talking about a brain injury that we know the science tells us that, not concurrent, but like each additional one makes it worse long term in a bigger picture. And so I look at that, and I'm not saying he'll never play again or he shouldn't play or he should or should not retire. But what I'm saying is, from an organization standpoint, at some point, even if he and his family are like, yes, let's do it, I don't want that on my conscience, that I was the guy that trotted him out and then he got lit up one more time, and then that's the thing that makes him into a vegetable.
I think that's why the Dolphins, as an organization, and particularly Mike McDaniel, has not weighed in on this publicly. Like, Mike McDaniel is not even saying we hope to get him back as quickly as we can, or I wish he would consider retiring. That's just adding to the pressure that's inherently on Tua right now. So they're just wishing well for the human being and letting the football end of it follow. And I respect what his decision is in concert with his family and his doctors. If he wants to play again, like Tedy Bruschi said, I believe, I support him doing that. It's his life.
But as his employer, let's assume you're the employer, how would you feel about that? You could say it's his life and he and his family, whatever.
Right.
But can you live with that? Okay, now we're entering a risk zone where this could have permanent type of damage for him.
Right. I don't worry about the legality of it. I don't worry about what's.
I'm not talking about legality.
Okay.
I'm talking about as a human being, Greg. Like,
if I'm Mike McDaniel, I trust the opinion of the doctors, of the experts. If they say, and Tedy Bruschi's right, whenever you talk to a doctor, before I had surgery a few years ago, I'm trying to get some, is this minor surgery? And the response was, there is no minor surgery. All right, they're cutting you open. In this case, no, they're never going to give him a guarantee. Yeah, you're perfectly fine to play again. Don't worry about it. They're never going to say that, but they're going to give him enough information where he and his family can make a decision. That's what I trust.
I think the scary thing, too, is when you start looking for doctors and other doctors to make sure that they're telling you what you want to hear, that's a dangerous place to be, too, right? There's a lot of pseudoscientists. There's a lot of people out there that'll clear you just because of your name.
Right.
You have to make sure that the person that you're trusting is actually looking at the science and making sure, hey, if we're going to tell you to go, it's because we believe so. It's not I'm telling you to go just because you're Tua and I like the Dolphins.
Yeah, and also it's important to note that he's not just relying on team doctors. He's consulting independent neuroscientists. So I think he's doing his due diligence. And I think the Dolphins, in placing him on IR, are erring on the side of caution, to say the least.
And to be clear, the NFL protocol is like a 5-step process. It's not just, hey, get a doctor who says yes. It does culminate with the team doctor evaluation and an independent neurological consultant that is brought in to say that the player can safely play.
To Tony's point, though, about getting a doctor to say what you want, and to Amin's general point about liabilities and Chris Bosh, I will tell you that nobody listening to this has any earthly idea how much the Miami Heat had to fight Chris Bosh on you cannot get back on this court, even though you have found the doctor that is presenting the case that you should be back on this court. That fight was a bigger fight than anyone listening to this understands, because they could not accept the possible liability that we're talking about here, that America is aghast because this happens again to Tua, and this time he doesn't get up or he's on a stretcher, and you had plenty of warning, and what were you doing? Bosh found the doctor to clear him. That doctor was brought to the Miami Heat, and the league and the Miami Heat had to say, Absolutely not. We have too many doctors to allow you to do this to yourself, no matter how much you're willing to risk in order to play basketball.
Baseball used to be America's pastime. Like, what kind of Americans are these? We used to live in a real country where if Ian Happ would get a hit off...
That's enough of that.
I mean, God almighty.
Real country.
What is this happening in his therapy? Let's do Against the Spread. We need a palate cleanser here, and we've got to get to 100 Greg Cotes were surveyed.
It's a weird name.
Against the Spread is a weird name.
Surveyed 100 Gregs.
You know what time it is. It's time for Against the Spread. And it's sponsored by DraftKings. Stay tuned because you'll hear more about DraftKings and all it has to offer throughout the show. DraftKings, the crown is yours. I think I'm going to go first.
All right. Billy is hot right now. I'm telling you, Dan. He is on fire.
Now, things have been going well as of late in terms of my picks and my big board bets and all of that business. And I've been pretty good. I've been pretty good at Against the Spread, not to toot my own horn. But you know what? I want to give some love to a segment that we did earlier this week. It was called Bet the Senate of Representatives. So this week, my Against the Spread pick is going to actually be Senator Peter Welch's pick for Bet the House of Senator of Representatives. I'm going to take Michigan plus 5.5 this week, hosting USC Against the Spread.
Do we have any others, or that's the only game we're
We've got
taking
one more,
Against the
Dano.
Spread?
We're going to the National Football League, where a team that you spoke about very quickly, just brushed it off. They probably have maybe a top 10 defense in the league right now. The Tennessee Titans are getting the Green Bay Packers at home. The line is small, -3, but if you were paying attention last week, the Colts look to be favored because Malik Willis is starting. The Packers, we don't know what's going on. Jordan Love, all of a sudden, the Colts go to Lambeau, they get destroyed, right? I think everybody's going to be a little bit too high on Malik Willis going against a very good Tennessee Titans defense at home. I'm going Tennessee Titans -3 against the spread.
All right, I mean, finally, without further ado, we were talking about the Family Feud. Put it on the poll, Juju, at LeBatardShow. Is Family Feud one of the top 5 game shows of all time? Because I would put it in my top 5 and closer to 1 than to 5. I don't care what that buzzer says. I mean, how do we play, and is it the correct name of the game? 100 Greg Cotes were surveyed.
For rights issues, we have to call it 100 Greg Cotes were surveyed. I'm going to ask a question. As many people want to jump in and guess what 100 Gregs answered.
So you have surveyed 100 Greg Cotes. People like Greg Cote, essentially. Or just 100 Greg Cotes.
100 Greg Cotes.
Okay.
Cloned them, asked them the question, and killed 99 clones.
But are we going to try and play it as you're the game show host and we have sounds? But are we the team? Are we the good answer team? Are we all on the same team?
You guys are all on the same team. Billy, you're going to be helping me with the buzzer. You're the judges, I guess.
I have a question. You killed the clones?
Well, I mean, I can't have 100 Greg Cotes.
But if you want to if there's a second version of this, do we clone them again?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, fine.
But then we have to also off them again.
I can't have them just running around.
Look, one of them's enough on Tuesday. I've had one this week on Monday and Wednesday, and I'm delirious.
Can you be charged with murdering a clone?
No.
It's like international waters. You're good.
It's like, hey, who'd I murder? Greg Cote. No, I didn't. He's right there.
Yeah,
all right.
there you go.
And there's another one of him right there.
No. Look at that guy.
Get that one.
Oh, yeah. How'd he get out of here?
So you're the game show host, though.
Yeah.
You're Steve Harvey.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see what you got.
Wait, hold on. Does anyone have to buzz in, or we're just gonna ask people directly?
The team has it. The team has it. So we're going, and I have a series of questions here.
So none of that.
We do for the good answer. Oh no,
that's okay. Hold on, let's just make sure we have. So this is someone's buzzing. We don't want that to buzz in. We want this.
That's
if they get
That's not the buzz-in sound. That's the correct answer sound.
No, the buzz-in sound. He says we don't need.
There is no
buzz-in
sound.
Ask
you guys are all on the same team. Obviously, Greg, you're not playing.
Right.
All right, here we go.
But the point is to get the answer that Greg Cote would get.
Correct. Yes.
100 Greg Cotes.
They're just saying we don't need the buzzer because we're not playing against anyone.
Exactly.
Right.
Well, against the spread.
There it is.
It sounds like it's not even 100 Greg Cotes. It's what I think Greg Cote would say.
Yeah.
Well, we asked 100 of them.
I got it. And then
What do you think 100 of them would say?
Correct. Got it.
All right.
Now, are these
not the clones killed in international waters? Actual Greg Cotes.
These are true to Greg Cotes, not Greg Cotes that are going to go rogue at all.
Well, no, we killed them, so They can't go.
But I'm saying that none of them are gonna just throw in a like. You ask what kind of coin would you throw in a fountain? None of them are like a nickel.
Yeah, no.
Okay, all right.
Well,
Good. They would all say a 50-cent piece.
Of course.
Well, but I feel like there are like 17 Greg Cotes that the answer will be just that kind of thing, like one of his catchphrases.
Baby!
Hold on a second. So you may be giving away some of these answers, Dan.
said.
Like, hold on.
Here we go. All right. First question. Name an occupation that begins with the letter J. And Billy, I'll go thumbs up, thumbs down for the sound. For you.
Okay.
All right.
I mean, journalist is obvious. That's what he would select.
Oh.
What?
Wow.
Stu Gatz, what do you got? Name an occupation that
Wow.
begins with the letter J.
Janitor.
There it is.
Really?
A little bit of a delay.
Yeah.
What would Greg Cotes say?
Yeah, what would Greg...
Right.
Tony, name an occupation that
Whoa.
begins with the letter J. We surveyed 100 Greg Cotes.
A jailer.
Ooh. Jailer. Good,
He's
good
getting warm.
You guys want to say good answer?
Good answer, Tony. Good answer, Tony. Good answer, Tony.
It's wrong, but it's a good answer.
I didn't think that was a good answer.
Three X's. No, Dan, when you play Family Feud, you have to say good answer.
But how
Yeah,
is
good
journalist not his answer?
His answer was jack of all trades.
Thank you.
That is a good answer.
He would say that.
Yeah.
Jailer was so close.
Jailer was getting warmer, yeah.
Next question.
Well, who is this for?
We're gonna start with Dan and then work our way around, right? Same thing.
Okay.
So
Greg's not answering any of
no,
these?
he's already
Can't.
answered.
I know
He's
the
already answered. He was surveyed.
He was one of the 100?
There are 100
Yes.
Greg Cotes who
Well, I
have
didn't know
answered
he was
this
one of them.
Well, there were 100 Greg Cotes.
Yeah, now there's one.
before we start
explaining the
killing
premise
them
of
in
it.
international
Yeah.
waters.
All right, here we go. We surveyed 100 Greg Cotes, Dan. Asked them, name something a wife turns on just to annoy her husband.
Oh.
Wife turns on just to annoy her husband. The blender? Sorry, I choked.
Stugats, we surveyed 100 Greg Cotes and asked them, name something a wife turns on just to annoy her husband.
Soap operas.
Tony.
I wish I had said her husband's best friend is what I wish I had said.
Baby.
Tony. We surveyed 100 Greg Cotes and asked them, name something a wife turns on just to annoy her husband.
I think this one is that kind of thing.
We got to check with the
Good
judges.
answer. It's always a good answer.
That's
Too bad.
The answer was another man, but that kind of thing is kind of like.
But that was his second answer,
Yeah.
so it was disqualified.
Disqualified.
Yeah, he was out of order as
I
well.
was.
Yeah.
You're not allowed a do-over after
No,
you
you
choke.
can't do it.
Turning on his best friend. That would be you, Dan.
That's right. Erlene has done that a number of
So
times.
there's
over
only
the
one.
years.
Whoa, baby.
What? There's only one answer for all these questions?
Well, I mean, we surveyed 100
There
Greg
are
Cotes.
100.
Yeah.
There are 100.
No, I know,
answers.
but I'm saying they all said the exact same thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
that
a
makes
consensus.
sense. Yeah.
Well,
Yep.
all right.
There's one number one answer.
Right. I
Yes.
think alike.
Yes.
Yeah, but
Top
on the
answer.
board, you'd have like 3 answers that you would go to. You know?
But that would be in Family Feud.
This
We're
not-
playing,
Oh, that's
true.
We're
Yeah,
playing
I'm sorry.
100
I'm
Greg
confused.
Cotes.
I'm
Right.
confusing
All
these
right.
things.
The top answer, Bill.
Let's move it along, guys. All right. Name something people try to squeeze into. Dan, start with you.
Tight pants.
Stugats, name something people try to squeeze into.
A Corvette.
It's a good answer.
Judges?
It's a good answer for
Oh,
Greg
that's a
Cotes.
thumbs down.
Oh, wow.
Thumbs down from
Judges.
one of the 100 Greg Cotes.
Tony, name something people try to squeeze into.
Your wedding tuxedo.
Wow.
A small Shriner's car like they have in the parades.
Thank you.
It's good. It's a good answer. Now we're playing the game correctly. Don't try and give a good answer. Try and give an answer that one of
It's
the
what-
100 Greg
no,
Cotes
what all of them would
did.
It's
say.
what 100 Greg Cotes
Yeah,
would
they
say.
all say the same
Now
thing.
you guys are catching on. All right, here we
Yeah.
go. Name a household chore that nobody likes to do.
Mopping.
Stugats, name a household chore that nobody likes to do. Remember, this is 100 Greg Cotes we asked.
The backyard.
Tony, name a household chore that nobody likes to do.
Cleaning up after Jumpin' Charlie.
Ooh, good answer.
It's a good
That
answer.
is a good
Judges?
answer.
It's a good
No.
answer.
It's a good
But
answer,
is it
but
the
Not
answer?
great.
No. He acknowledged it was a good one, though.
What about Ollie the cat?
Cleaning the bathroom. All right, final one. Here
I
we
thought I
go.
was gonna be talking to my wife.
Why was that? Why was
That was the answer. We surveyed 100 Greg Cotes.
That's what they said.
Last one, really quick.
Anyone would say
Name an
that.
occasion where parents force their kids to wear a certain outfit. Dan.
Halloween.
Stugatz.
Birthday party.
What?
Tony.
Datter Day.
Oh, Saturday, that might be it. That has to be it.
The answer is, I don't know. How is that better than Saturday?
TD, Tutty, taking it to the house. Whatever you call a touchdown, they matter more at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Ready to place your first NFL bet? Try betting something simple like a player to score a touchdown. Ready to do a touchdown dance of your own? Score big with DraftKings Sportsbook, the best place to bet touchdowns. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code DAN. That's code DAN for new customers to get $250 in bonus bets when you bet just $5 and 1 month of NFL Plus Premium. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours.